And as we move towards a discussion about supporting officers, that CRM perspective from ensuring that we have an awareness about our members is critically important too. And I'll let Simon transition from that.
Thanks, Ian. So the last area I just really wanted to talk about and get the conversation going around was supporting officers. I've got a good number of friends of mine, particularly that are officers as well, and they're challenged in doing the right thing and actually the scope of what they're dealing with today in a lot of different areas globally. And now I'm British originally, and the communities I deal with and I'm aware of in the UK, what they're dealing with there is no different to what we deal with in the US. But it also comes down to understanding what the needs of the officers are. And what's interesting about this is if we look at, again, some of the analyst feedback in this area, and this was a really recent bit of research from Gartner, leading technology analyst in September this year, highlighted the fact as a statement that by 2023, 30% of law enforcement and police services will leverage insight systems for personal organization effectiveness. Well, what does that mean? That means they're starting to look at really what are the challenges of the officer? How do they try and improve and support the officers in the right way? And there are various different things we can focus in on. And I know a very popularized statement or phrase is blue flu, for example, where people sort of take themselves out of these scenarios and go on some extended leave for health reasons. It's often a reaction to something that they need better support on. So given that insight perspectives, what does it mean then to try and think about how we go and address this? Well, one way to do this is to look at really how officer data is stored, how it's collated and used in an insight fashion, and what does improvement look like in this area. So just giving you 3 examples that came out of that analysis from Gartner, where we've got a lot of data that's stored in very decentralized sources. It's really hard to combine. Again, the same type of framework we've just been talking about can bring that together in a much more insightful way. We also look at everything that's incident related. So that pivoting aspect I was talking about with community, again, can be used to better support the officer and understand where we need to maybe improve or where we need to change the way we're looking at indicators of performance, but also where we need to maybe improve training or other types of supportive environment. And also by understanding this and therefore the transparency that comes from that type of visualization and an insight, it improves trust with everybody. And I think, that understanding of balance is what's key in a lot of what's discussed in the public today. So just to give an example, and the way this sort of translates in terms of really 5 core specific areas is, understanding how we keep officers happy doing what they're doing. They have the right development. They understand their accountability, which I'm sure they do, but also in other areas that maybe are more community driven, how we improve their health and so that they don't feel anxiety or don't feel as issues to take themselves out on health for health reasons, and also then the general personal well-being. And this all comes from an insight type of framework that is specifically focused on officer support. So I wanted to touch on this because it was just another one of those 3 use cases we talked about up front. Now, just before we summarize, and I sort of hand back over to Michael and Ian to talk about key takeaways, just to recap what we focused on. So when we started at the beginning of this session, we talked about how technology can be used to go and focus in 3 areas: a person of interest, 360, a crime search, and a community insight, with the main drivers being how we can do unified incident reporting, how we can improve the relationship of information so that we can get better intervention indicators and also make better recommendations on a particular POI type model, and then the community side of things as well as another type of way that we can look at integration of data for improvement.